now is Oakland attorney Adanté Pointer on this whole case. Let's start with the video, Adanté. It's compelling. It's graphic. Who does this help the defense? Does this help the prosecution? And why would they release it prior to a trial?
Well, I think the video certainly is damaging for the defendant. This is the type of horrific attack that anyone who's home alone and, an intruder breaks into their home, this is what you have nightmares about. So I don't see this being considerably helpful for the defendant here. As it relates to the prosecution, it shows why they're prosecuting this man on such serious charges. You can see when he wields the weapon and strikes down, this isn't a gentle blow. He is trying to do harm. So this is a...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Adanté, but what's also so interesting is that we really get a good look at the timeline here from when he arrived at the home to when he allegedly broke into the home and some of the interactions with Paul Pelosi. I mean, what do you make of this extensive amount of evidence?
It's a mountain of evidence that's going to be hard for the defense to try to undermine. Not only do you have the video, but which shows essentially a disoriented man sitting there looking at the officers for help, if you're just looking at his face. But you also have the defendant giving the motive for why he's there and what he intended to do, which was to break her kneecaps if she didn't tell the truth. That's pretty damaging.
Another portion of the released police footage includes the exchange not only between Pelosi but DePape as well. Take us through that, because the first thing they asked, what's going on, and everything is good. Take us through that exchange and your thoughts on that.
It reminds me of someone who's being held hostage, and the person who's holding them hostage is right there, and you're not trying to say anything to set that person off. It's what some people say is blink twice, to kind of send the signal that you need help. And that's what he was doing. That's what it appeared that Mr. Pelosi was doing. Unfortunately, those officers are standing there, and as opposed to DePape dropping the weapon and kind of realizing, oh my gosh, the police are here and they're here to arrest me, instead he goes on what could have been a fatal attack. And Mr. Pelosi is fortunate to be here today.
It also is really telling, though, because in that exchange, when officers arrive and they ask, DePape, what's going on, and he says, everything is good, it also leads one to believe that perhaps, well, I guess my question is, what does that lead one to believe might have been going on through DePape's mind?
Well, DePape was, if you could take all the evidence and put it in context, clearly he was disturbed. He was intent on getting into the home, and he was intent on inflicting some type of harm if he didn't get whatever he thought was his way. And so when the police confronted him there in the middle of the night with a disoriented older gentleman and a young man with a large weapon, and they're holding it in a way as if, look, I'm holding this so he doesn't use it against me. I think the officers right there should have been on high alert and instantly, this is a situation where you enter the home and separate the two men. So, this was a case where I think just on its face, you can see that this is a very scary situation. And once again, Mr. Pelosi is lucky to be alive, because when that weapon came down upon his head and he went to the ground, that's not where the assault ended. It continued. And so, we're just very lucky that he's here to be alive today.
And does the defense, do they have any case at all? I mean, it's all right there on video, and the video doesn't lie. Where does that leave them?
Well, I think, there's a lot of still legal options available for the defendant here. You could talk about, is this some type of bout of insanity? Was this a situation where, mental health is at issue? And so there should be some consideration given to that by the prosecution. And I think that's actually something that can be developed, especially when he starts talking about that he was motivated or moved by conspiracies that are on the internet and the television as it relates to Speaker Pelosi. So, those are all the things that combine to present a defense. It doesn't mean that it's an explanation or an excuse for what happened, but it does give it some context.
It certainly does. All right. Thank you so much, Adanté, for joining us. I know you're going to be sticking around to provide reaction to the release of body camera video in another high-profile case. We'll see you as soon as police there in Memphis make that video public. Thanks so much, Adanté.